Hi there. Let's talk about a newly filed bill in Frankfurt that is both hateful and misinformed and potentially destructive. So, the bill I'm talking about is Senate Bill 93, which has the anodyne name of an act relating to education. It basically starts out with something that you think, okay, there's not a problem with this. It says that a local school district or public charter school shall not require any statement, pledge, or oath other than to uphold general and federal law, the United States Constitution, and the Constitution of Kentucky. Okay, that's probably fine, but I suspect there's some school district somewhere that also asks its employees to support diversity. But we'll get to that now. So they are coming after something called diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI is how you'll see it abbreviated. And of course, the way that you start something like this is you first misdefine the program. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, don't forget belonging, means any program, activity, instruction, or policy that classifies individuals on the basis of race, color, sex, national origin, gender identity, or sexual orientation, and promotes differential or preferential treatment of individuals on the basis of such classification. I suspect that most people who are in favor of supporting diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging do not use it to show preferential treatment for one class or another. In fact, what they would like to see is equal treatment without being punished for being one way or another. So we begin with having defined this program incorrectly. But let's go on. Political and social activism means any activity organized with a purpose of affecting or preventing change to a government policy or to achieve a desired result related to social issues. So there we get it. They're upset because there are actually people in our school systems who care about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and these lawmakers see it as a social issue and not any business of the schools. And they go further to say social issues means topics that polarize or divide society among political, ideological, moral, or religious beliefs. So in other words, if we have a school system that actually investigates and explores the problems of race in our country or in their school, if we have a school system that actively explores things related to gender or to ideologies or even to moral issues, no, we can't have that. And then it goes on to say that a local school district or public charter school shall not expend any resources or funds to purchase membership in any organization that discriminates on the basis of race. Okay, that's fine. Or to promote, support, or maintain any programs that advocate for diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Or promote or engage in political or social activism. In other words, you cannot purchase or you can't expend any time or money promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. I'm fascinated by the fact that they added the word belonging in there. DEI is fairly common nowadays, but now we're going to throw belonging in there too. So in other words, this bill tells all our schools, you cannot talk about any of these issues. You cannot support any of these issues. And by the way, one of the things that you can't do is make children feel like they belong. That's not allowed. Here we are in a situation where last year they passed the anti-trans bill, which certainly told a whole bunch of kids that they didn't belong. And now this year, diversity, equity, inclusion, nope, can't talk about any of those. And belonging, that's out too. The end of the bill that is not going to get as much attention probably, but I think it may even be worse. There was a long section in this part of the revised statutes that talked about something called trauma-informed approach when it comes to education. So listen to this. Trauma-informed approach means incorporating principles of trauma awareness and trauma-informed practices as recommended by the Federal Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration in a school in order to foster a safe, stable, and understanding learning environment for all students and staff, and ensuring that all students are known well by at least one adult in the school setting. That's trauma-informed approach. Guess what? This bill rips all of that out of the revised statutes. In other words, we are not supposed to even talk about trauma-informed approach. Apparently, these legislators believe that children don't have trauma, or if they do, it's no business of the schools to deal with it, even though it obviously affects learning. Now, who are the legislators who are sponsoring this wonderful bill? Stephen Meredith, Gary Boswell, Donald Douglas, and my own state senator, Lindsey Tichenor. I cannot believe that they thought it was worth their time to put together a bill like this and to promote it. But let's do one last piece of this. At the very end of the bill, there is a list of subjects that school resource officers are supposed to be trained on. 2 of them were removed. Guess what they were? Diversity and bias awareness training and trauma-informed action. So in other words, we don't want our school resource officers to know anything about bias awareness or diversity, and we certainly don't want them to be informed about trauma-informed action and how to deal with children who are going through or have gone through trauma. This is a train wreck of a bill. It's poorly done. It misidentifies the whole problem at the beginning and then proceeds to use this shotgun approach to say you can't do any of these things. It is mean, it is misinformed, and it is destructive. SB 93, put it on your list of bills to call about, and let's hope that we can stop it before it starts.